Hello, everyone, and welcome to Aligned and Soulful Success. My name is Kavitha Milwani, and I am a spiritual success and business coach. And each week I come to you with wisdom to help you have a purposeful and profitable business. So, this week I want to talk to you about intuition versus fear as an entrepreneur. So I have seen that people, when we're making changes, especially as entrepreneurs, we can stop ourselves sometimes feeling like it's our intuition that's telling us not to go in a certain direction. So I'm not telling you in today not to follow that. What I want to help you do is tell the difference between what is actually your intuitive guidance guiding you, and then what is your fear, your ego mind keeping you safe. Okay. So the thing that happens anytime we want to make a change, we step out of our comfort zone, our brain is going to resist that change to some degree. And so when you think that that resistance is intuition and telling you not to take a step, then that is stopping you from reaching your level of growth and to your next level of growth and creating more of what you want in your life, especially if you want to make some changes, right? Because if we decide that something is not for us, then we have a something called cognitive bias. And so that is going our brain is going to find things to confirm our choice. Okay? So after you make a decision, you're going to now your brain is going to find the ways that your decision was correct. Okay? So even if you think that, oh, that was the right step, I'm glad I avoided that, it may or may not be true. Okay? So your intuition speaks to you through your higher self, through that higher self that is your true essence, and also can speak to you through your body if you're paying attention to your body. Okay. And so the way that you can access your intuitive guidance is through practice, right? Of paying attention, being mindful, being present, being clear about what you want to create. What is that vision? What is your purpose, right? And taking steps towards that because your intuition is going to guide you to take steps in a way that's going to expand and grow you, right? And so, and the fear, the ego mind is going to hold you back because it wants to keep you safe, right? And it doesn't know if you make those changes, if you take those steps, if it's going to be safe. So, keeping you safe and on the same path is a way that it knows that you're going to be okay. Okay. So that fear, when you want to take a step, and sometimes people will say, it just didn't feel right. Okay. So when that immediate response is, it didn't feel right, I'm going to ask you to take one more step. Okay. To really examine why it didn't feel why didn't it feel right? How did it feel in your body? Is that feeling in your body trying to stop you from growth? Was that step going to help you grow? Or was that step going to be a contraction? Was that step going to keep you the same? Right. So sometimes, a lot of the times, we're not able to see those things on our own. And that's why it's beneficial to speak to someone that has your best interest at heart, like a coach, if you have a coach. Um, because they can see things and patterns that you may not be able to see. I know as I've over the years had different mentors and coaches, most of the time I've been supported in a way for growth, right? Once in a while, I had been guided in a direction that I felt was not right. But there was this other part of me that really wanted to please the mentor and follow what they said. And so I took steps that they recommended, even though if I really looked inward, it was it was not that it didn't feel right because I was afraid, right? It didn't feel right because that really wasn't where I wanted to go, right? And so I took those steps despite the fact that if I really felt into my body, if I was really mindful, they were not expansive steps, right? They were limiting me. And so if I paid attention, then I would say, oh, that's actually limiting me. That's not expanding, right? Um, and so I'm simplifying it a little bit today, and it can be really complicated as we're making decisions. But one of the things is it's really important to have the ability to make decisions quickly in a business as an entrepreneur. Okay, as an entrepreneur, things are changing, and having a decision making process that you follow is really important. And whatever that process is, maybe you write a list of pros and cons, right? Maybe you write the benefits and the drawbacks of this decision. Whatever you say yes to, that means you're saying no to other things. Maybe you write down what you're saying yes to and what you're saying no to if you make this decision. All those things are really valuable, and I'm going to encourage you to do that. And then there's the feeling part, right? So you can look at this list and still not be sure. And so at this point is when you start to go inward and check in with yourself, being completely honest. If I take this step, how does it feel in my body? And you can even imagine yourself moving in that direction and taking that step and see how that feels, right? If it feels a little uncomfortable, that's okay. But does it feel uncomfortable because it's scary? You don't know what's going to happen because you're taking a risk, okay? Or if I don't, or I take this step, does it feel like I'm contraction? Does it feel like, kind of like the sense of like I'm putting a weight on me, and it's like not where I want to go, and it's like the sense of excitement is less, and then it's not the kind of fear that's the butterflies in your stomach fear, but it's the fear of like, oh, I could be in danger, right? Now, the danger part you have to discern with your brain, because your brain might read something as dangerous that's not, right? Um, and so the introspection is the next step, right? So the first step is you do whatever process, pros and cons list, whatever the tangible process, sit with the feeling and discern whether that feeling is your intuition telling you that this is not for you. This step is not for you. Or is it telling you that this is scary? So I'm just a little afraid to do this. I'm afraid what's going to happen, right? And if you do that, if that's the feeling that you're getting, then you take the step, okay, despite the fear. And if you're still not sure about that, then you could speak to someone. Now, keep in mind that if you speak to someone that's a friend or family member, everybody has their own kind of view of you, and they want to, as much as they love you, they most likely want you to stay the same, right? And so you changing kind of threatens part of them, and that's a very complicated process. So be careful of who you ask for their feedback and how you take that feedback in. And so then the other thing that you can do is pay attention to your subconscious mind, and you can pay attention to that through writing down your dreams. You can do some visualization and active imagination. And so that can help you uncover more of what's underneath there before you make the decision. And the last thing I want to say is I don't want you to stay in indecision, because when you stay in indecision, that's actually making a decision, right? You're deciding to be kind of stuck and be not sure. And most likely it's because you're either afraid of the step, you're afraid of making a mistake, right? You don't want to make a mistake. And so that holds you back from taking steps. And again, as an entrepreneur, you have to make decisions all the time. And you have to be willing to make mistakes. You have to be willing to take the risk, and knowing that it may not always turn out exactly the way you want, but it's a challenge and it's an opportunity to grow. And the only way that you can know sometimes is by taking a step in a certain direction. If you are in this kind of analysis paralysis thing and you can't make a decision, that's going to keep you stuck in your business, right? And so I know one of the things that a lot of empaths can do is be stuck in kind of like learning and research part and then not taking the action step. And sometimes they can say, well, intuitively, I still don't know what feels right. Okay. That's something to pay attention to. Giving yourself some time to do the research and then taking the steps, right? Because sometimes you can't plan for every potential pitfall and mistake, right? There's the only way that you're going to know is if you move forward. So, are you going to stay in indecision? Are you going to hold yourself back? Are you going to stay in your comfort zone in the kind of the research mode? Or are you going to take some steps, check in with yourself, and move forward? Okay, so I'm hoping that as an entrepreneur, if you've chosen that path, that you're going to take some steps and move forward. Okay, so just to give you a quick summary of what I talked about today, it's the fact that we as individuals, as entrepreneurs, as empaths, need to figure out when our intuition is guiding us not to take a step, is guiding us in a direction, versus when it's actually our ego mind keeping us safe. Okay. And some of the way to do that is through first getting the data, right? I'm not saying not to do that. Do whatever process that you use, right? The pros and cons list, the benefits and drawbacks, all of that. Take that down, right? And then start to feel into the choices. How does it feel if I take this step? Or if I don't take this step, right? And sometimes when you do that, you can sense that if I don't take that step, I might regret that later on, right? And that I never knew what could happen. And then if that's still not enough to help you with that decision, you don't stay in indecision. You start to pay attention to your dreams and speak to someone that has your best interest at heart and start to see things that you may not see. Okay, so that you can make a decision. So practicing using your intuitive guidance is going to make you trust it more. Okay, and I want to say one more thing. Just because your intuition is guiding you in a direction does not mean that you're not going to make any mistakes. Okay. In fact, that may be exactly what you need to experience so that you can move forward, because each step that you take is another step in the direction to your dreams. Okay. So I'm going to encourage you to take those steps. So this is Kavita with Aligned and Soulful Success. Until next week, take good care. Bye.